Thanks to the Social Democrats for bringing forward this motion. Shame on the United States, shame on Britain, shame on the European Union, and shame on this government for continuing to give Israel impunity while it carries out a genocide and a massacre on the people of Gaza. On the 18th of October, People Before Profit put forward an amendment to a government motion on Gaza, where we asked for the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador, for sanctions against Israel, and for Israel's referral to the International Criminal Court for war crimes. Only People Before Profit TDs and Deputy Pringle and Deputy Collins rose to support that motion. It is really a shame on this House that it has taken for the death toll of Palestinians to rise to over 11,000, 5,000 children, 70% of the victims being women and children, in order for this issue to come before the House again. And even now, in the face of what is self-evidently a genocide and massacre by Israel of the Palestinians, the government continues with, frankly, its studied contempt of the plight of the Palestinians. Why have we not had a senior minister in here for the debate last night or today? That's deliberate, and people need to understand what's going on. That is a deliberate attempt by the government to distance itself from its refusal to impose sanctions on Israel for the massacre and the genocide that is taking place. And it is absolutely clear that that's what is going on. How do we know it is a massacre and a genocide? Because the Israelis told us they were going to do it. Their ministers told us that they were going to starve the entire population of water, electricity, food, medical supplies, punish them all. They described them as human animals. The classic dehumanization, which is the prelude to every single genocide that has ever taken place, where the President of Israel said they're all responsible. So they told us what they were going to do, and they have done it. And still, the government persist with the narrative, and sadly even those who are speaking up for the Palestinians, that this is somehow an act of self-defense by Israel. When all of this didn't begin on October the 7th, it has been going on since 1948. And the founders of the Israeli state made it absolutely clear that they were going to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from the word go, and that is what they have done since 1948, done again in 67, have done again and again, and we're doing it all of this year, long before October the 7th. I mean, Netanyahu stood in front of the UN in September with a map that erased all reference to Palestine. They made it clear. Netanyahu said earlier this year there will be no Palestinian state. Smotrich said there is no such thing as the Palestinians in March of 2023. This was the deadliest year for Palestinians in years before anything happened on October the 7th. And people in human rights organisations, the Palestinians, people in this House pleaded for the last few years for people to take action and end the impunity of Israel for war crimes and crimes against humanity. You failed to act, and frankly you have blood on your hands for what has happened since because of your failure to act against Israel. Israel is not a normal state, and a state that is built on ethnic cleansing, that is built on apartheid, that is built on day in, day out, killing Palestinians with impunity, has no right to self-defense. None. You don't have the right to defend an illegal occupation. You don't have the right to defend apartheid. You don't have the right to defend years of ethnic cleansing. The only people who have the right to defend themselves are the Palestinians. And that's even under international law, never mind morality. But still, you give them impunity. You can allow them to continue this massacre when it is absolutely clear what they are engaged in is the use of terrorism to terrify the entire Gaza population and drive them out. And they're doing it on the West Bank, where there's no Hamas either, and they've declared it publicly. So we need the people to do what governments have failed to do. And that's why I urge people to get out on the streets tonight, outside the door before this vote. And I want to commend the 13,000 people who sent in emails in the last few days calling for sanctions. I want to see people out on the streets this Saturday as part of the global mass movement that is demanding that finally we acknowledge that Israel is not a normal state, it is an apartheid state, it is a terrorist state, it is a state built on the mass expulsion and murder of Palestinian people, and it's only when we dismantle that horrific regime we will end the terror and massacre we are now witnessing.